Welcome back. The people of Senegal will go to the polls in February to elect a new president. But barely a week before Senegal's Constitutional Council sets to consider the legality of President Abdoulaye Wade's bid to seek re-election for the third time, the political temperature is shooting to dangerous levels. The Catholic Church there is meanwhile calling for calm ahead of the election. Let's look at this short report for more on how things are shaping up in Senegal in the lead up to the race between at least 20 aspirants.
Launched on Thursday by the Secretary of Senegal's Episcopal Conference, comes 1 week before the country's Constitutional Council is to decide on the validity of President Abdoulaye Wade's bid to run for another term. Senegal's bishops are calling for the constitution to be respected, both in spirit and in letter.
The bishops are calling on citizens to respect the Constitution, especially those whose duty it is to respond or to interpret the law. That, in the end, is what is needed if this country is to be at peace.
Some 20 candidates are vying for the presidency. They've either declared their candidacy themselves or were selected by their parties. The candidates include a number of Wade's former prime ministers, now in the opposition. With the election only weeks away, the political climate here is heavy and ominous. The Senegalese Church fears unforeseen events and is calling on the candidates and the population to abide by democratic principles.
This election is important, and the reason the Church is implicated is to contribute to peace in this country. That is our only objective, and it deserves the sacrifices that are needed.
In their appeal, which was published Friday in the Dakar Press, Senegal's bishops also state that nothing will get done unless peace is brought to Casamance, Senegal's southern province that has been involved in an armed conflict for the past 3 decades.
Arab League monitors invited by the embattled Syrian government to examine the state of affairs in the country as it grapples with mass protest are finding it difficult to access certain parts of the country. But despite the difficulties, the monitors have managed to meet a Syrian who was jailed for having a Facebook account. The mission started 4 weeks ago and 11 Arab League monitors have sustained injuries so far. Let's look at this report for more.
They've come under gunfire, been attacked by regime loyalists and anti-government opposition alike. The Arab League monitors, who arrived barely 4 weeks ago, were supposed to calm the situation. But the reality is they've been thrown into the middle of a crisis beyond their control. Both sides demanding their views be validated by the orange-jacketed monitors.
The monitors' aim here has to be seen to be impartial, to be neutral in everything that's going on. But the longer they're here, the harder it seems to be for them to maintain that position. Here, carried aloft by the crowds of anti-government supporters to pro-government factions, this looks like the monitors are taking sides.
It's not the only challenge they face. Here, President Bashar al-Assad's army blocks monitors for an hour and a half. A delaying tactic they suspect, so Assad's soldiers can hide heavy weapons the monitors are supposed to verify have been pulled back to base. In front of those very same monitors, this senior government official, the governor of Damascus, denies any restrictions. He tells me whatever they need, whatever access they want, we give them. Privately, in less than a month here, the monitors admit they've faced any number of government obfuscations. But the one we see them witness at a Damascus jail as prisoners are released in accordance with Arab League demands has to be one of the boldest. This young man hugging his mother 80 days in detention, he says, just for having a Facebook account. It looks like government compliance until this.
There's a bus full of men here in cages behind wired bars inside these buses here. 3 buses going in. We're not being allowed to talk to these men on the buses here. These soldiers are preventing us from doing it. It's not clear if they're new prisoners going in, but it certainly has every appearance of being more prisoners going into the jail.
We see the bus leave empty and later learn when the men arrived they were calling out, "There's no amnesty. We are security prisoners." Across town, these aspiring politicians are trying to make an assessment of another government commitment to the Arab League. Reforms to legalize opposition parties. The last time the government said this in 2005, he says, we were arrested not long after forming a party. Even now for them, Assad's promise rings hollow. They are struggling to find people brave enough to join them publicly. We need 1,000 signatures to register, he says. We wanted intellectuals, doctors, lawyers, but we've had to look elsewhere. And all the while, as the monitors struggle to verify compliance, the killings have continued. Even escalated on both sides. Hundreds more dead since the Arab League observer mission began. I asked the Damascus governor if the Arab League is helping. His answer less than clear.
نتأمل منهم الخلاص من هذه المشكلة بنقل للصورة الحقيقية لأنه الصورة.
They are our Arab brothers, he explains, and we hope they convey the true message, because the message you see in the media is one thing and reality is something else. In the past 4 weeks, 11 monitors have been reported injured. Their damaged vehicles speak volumes about the threat.
This one here has had the windscreen smashed in. You can see pictures of President Assad. It's been stuck on the side. And if you look along here, it reads here, "We love you, Assad." This is what the monitors face when they go out in the field. They don't have anyone to protect them.
Staying out of danger, never mind stopping Syria's apparently inevitable slide to war, may be their biggest challenge. Nick Robertson, CNN, Damascus.
Well, time now to take another break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned in. Welcome back, and before we go, a reminder of our headlines. President Jammeh has used his inaugural address to outline plans to further invest heavily in education before tens of thousands of people. An emissary dispatched to Banjul by the Rwandan president has been discussing means of deepening and bolstering relations between Kigali and Banjul with Professor Jammeh. The Catholic Church in Senegal is urging calm ahead of the ruling of the legitimacy of President Abdoulaye Wade's third-term bid. And 11 Arab League monitors sent to examine the situation in Syria have sustained injuries. You can also follow that story and other GRTS programs live on www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS radio live. That's all in the news. We'll be back at 2200 hours for another bulletin, inshallah.
Munina,